calendar, right?
Oh yeah, just in April, we've checked out all sorts of things. Like?
On April 1st, we checked into Cedar Falls with the Dubuque and Pacific Railway Company on the anniversary of the first train reaching the city in 1861. April 2nd gave us a chance to celebrate the Soldiers and Sailors Monument on the Capitol grounds built to honor the 76,242 Iowans who served in the American Civil War. On the 2nd, in 1889, Harriet Ketchum of Mount Pleasant won a contest to design the iconic structure. We took a deep dive into the Honey War over Iowa's southern border with Missouri on the anniversary of the United States Supreme Court officially deciding Iowa would keep its current shape on April 3, 1849. We visited the Iowa College for the Blind, first in Iowa City and later Vinton, on the anniversary of the school's 1853 opening on April 4th. Lewis and Clark guided us on April 5 on the anniversary of an 1804 date where they wrote speeches inviting the Iowa and Yanktonese to Washington, D.C. as a part of the final preparations for their iconic American journey up the Missouri River. Anamos's mayor, Robert Dott, allowed us to glance back at the Battle of Shiloh on April 6th, when in 1862, the sergeant in the 14th Regiment of the Iowa Volunteer Infantry found himself, to quote, in the thick of the fray. We explored the suspect circumstances of Decorah winning election as the county seat of Winneshiek County over Monique on April 7, 1851, and on April 8th, we looked back to 1870 when the Iowa legislature gave the final approval for the construction of a permanent state house in Des Moines. A mystery fit for Dick Tracy led us to examine Lyle Lettle on his birthday. The actor from Elma, who starred in the 1940s adaptations of the popular detective series as Pat Patton, was born on April 9, 1904. The worst late-season blizzard in Iowa's history wrapped up on April 10, 1973, and the calendar took us back to 20-plus inches of snow stranding a bear at the Holiday Inn near Amana while Iowans fought to dig out from the incredible storm. The first cigarette tax ever passed in the United States came into effect in Iowa on April 11, 1921, when Governor Nathan Kendall signed the 2-cent per package tax into law. We flew high with Denison's Clarence Duncan Chamberlain on the April 12 anniversary of his famous 1927 flight, which set the world non-stop flying record by staying up in the air for 51 hours and 11 minutes. Gary Kroger cracked us up as we celebrated the Iowan-turned-Saturday Night Live comedian born in Cedar Falls on April 13, 1957. A massive tornado, which stayed on the ground for 80 miles before destroying half of Coon Rapids, caught our attention on April 14, the anniversary of the 1886 day when 19 tornadoes ripped through the state. Also on April 14, we celebrated the Iowa Supreme Court ruling in favor of Alexander Clark's challenge to school segregation in the state. As a result of the 1867 ruling, Iowa became the first state in the United States to rule against segregating education. We went live with WHO AM Des Moines, which first broadcast on April 15, 1924. We relived the iconic All Things Iowa station memorable personalities Jim Zabel, Jack Shelley, Roy Fox, and even future President Ronald Reagan. April 16 gives us a chance to look back on the sacrifice of Private First Class Galen Grethen of Emmitsburg, who was killed in action while on patrol in Vietnam trying to save his platoon mate struck by enemy fire in 1966. We also rode along with Bonnie and Clyde on April 16 when the iconic American outlaws robbed the bank in Stewart during 1934. The crime is believed the final heist of the Barrow Gang's infamous career. On April 17, we danced the night away at the Surf Ballroom on the anniversary of the date when the North Iowa nightclub and music venue initially opened in 1933. The final stage to host Buddy Holly before he died in a plane crash north of Clear Lake, the Surf was rebuilt following a fire in 1947. A visit to the South Pacific awaited us on May 18 when we remembered the 1942 Doolittle Raid and the death of Corporal Leland D. Factor of Plymouth. Corporal Factor was killed in action while bailing out of his B-25 bomber over the coast of China following the successful attack on the mainland of Japan. We surveyed the neutral ground with Nathan Boone on April 19, the date on which he originally started charting the northern Iowa boundaries between the Dakota, Ho-Chunk, Sauk, and Meskwaki in 1832. On April 20, we marveled at the Forest City Flax Palace on the date crews took down the 1890s fiber-woven structure to facilitate a highway project in 1933. Fremont's own Ivan Combe, inventor of Clearasil, odor eaters, and a variety of other personal care products, gave us a reason to celebrate on his birthday on April 21st. We cheered on the first train to cross the Mississippi River on April 22, 1856, and took a look at how the famed American Civil War trio of Abraham Lincoln, Jefferson Davis, and Robert E. Lee played a part in the steamy drama surrounding the first bridge in the United States to span the Mississippi River. Internationally renowned fashion designer Halston, born Roy Halston Frowick in Des Moines, Iowa on April 23, 1932, gave us a reason to celebrate the diverse pathways Iowans can take while changing the world through creativity and unique vision. We rocked along at Cyclone Stadium in Ames as it hosted Farm Aid 6 on April 24, 1993. The event featured the musical stylings of Johnny Cash, Neil Young, Willie Nelson, John Mellencamp, Charlie Daniels, and even Ringo Starr, among many others. The Nightcrawler Car Club secretary turned U.S. Poet Laureate, Ted Kooser of Ames, was born on April 25, 1939. The Pulitzer Prize-winning poet represents the only Iowa State alum or Iowan to win the prestigious Library of Congress post. More unbelievable artists awaited us on April 26 when we celebrated the birthdays of two Des Moines musicians. Joey Jordison of Slipknot fame and T-Boz of TLC both went on to Grammy-winning multi-platinum success in very different genres of music after getting their start in Iowa's capital city. Farm foreclosures and martial rule resulted in Lamar's after local farmers stormed the courtroom of Judge Charles C. Bradley on April 27, 1933. Angered by 1 in 7 Iowa farmers losing their land, the disgruntled agrarians drove the judge out of town and fit a noose around his neck before ultimately allowing him to go free. We whistle-stopped across the state with President Roosevelt on the anniversary of his 2-day tour of Iowa in 1903 on April 28. April 29 gives us a chance to remember the final American soldier to die in Vietnam, Marshalltown's own Lance Corporal Darwin Lee Judge, killed in action during the evacuation of Saigon in 1975. Finally, we celebrated Roosevelt Rough Rider turned Oscar and Emmy Award-winning actress Cloris Leachman on the anniversary of her Des Moines birth in 1926.
Well,
Good luck with that.
There's a lot of good history about Iowa a lot of people don't even know about.